First, be sure you're open in Layout and Editing. Click on the View tab in the upper left-hand corner. You will see various little boxes highlighted, the first being Sewing Order. This corresponds with your sewing order window. Hold down, left-click, and drag your sewing window out of the way. Left-click, hold down, and drag your next window into the center. And these are your sewing attributes, your color attributes, and your text attribute windows. You can separate these three windows by clicking the tab, holding down, and dragging. You can also turn these windows off by clicking on the highlighted tab or the little checked boxes that correspond with each window. You can turn them on and then back off. You can restack them and they'll form one. You pull the whole stack over to the side and out of your way. The next little box is your reference window. This will show a picture of the design you're working on. I very rarely ever use it, so I'm just going to shut it off. Next is your Stitch Simulator window. You can shut that on or off. We're just going to slide it up out of the way until later when I can show you how to use it. Click on your Home tab and then click Design Settings. And this is where you can change the size for the type of machine you have, a single needle or a multi-needle, and the hoop size is available for each one. If you have a single needle machine and you are using a 4x4 hoop and you click OK, your page is going to change to the smaller hoop size area. I have a multi-needle and I like to use the largest hoop available for my machine, so I always set my page to the largest hoop available and then click OK and it'll change to that full screen. Go ahead now and change the settings to the hoop size and the type of machine you'll be using. Click your View tab and uncheck and recheck the grid boxes. You can see how the grid on your page changes. You can decrease the size from 1 inch down. I like to use the bigger grid when I'm doing my digitizing, so I'm going to bring it all the way back up with the little arrows. You will notice that I have my little Snap to Grid box unchecked. Do not check this. For what we're doing right now, you don't want that checked, and if you have it checked, it's going to cause a lot of problems with your digitizing, so be sure that that is unchecked. None of your stitches are going to want to stay where you put them if that box is checked. Uncheck your ruler box and the ruler disappears. I like to have the ruler there for visual perspective when I'm digitizing. Click on your File tab in the upper left-hand corner and then click on Options. This is where we can change our system units between metric and inches. I like to use the inches, so I've checked inches. Then close your window. Click on the View tab again and you're going to see the stitch mode. You have realistic, solid, or just stitches. I like to use the realistic mode because then I can actually see what my digitizing design is going to look like. Alright, now I want to show you how to open an image to use for digitizing. You're going to want to open your computer picture files. I am going to open an image that I previously saved to a picture folder. Find an illustration of a block on the internet and save it to your picture files. We are going to open this illustration in Layout and Editing and digitize it today. Click on the Home and then Image tabs. Click on the Open icon and then click From File. Find your image file and open it. Click on the image you want to open. And there it is, a background image to use for digitizing. Do not click on the design page yet or you'll lose the resizing box that's around your illustration. You'll notice the size of your illustration in the lower left-hand corner. Do not, again I repeat, click on that design page yet. If you do click on the design page, you're going to lose your red resizing box, and then you're going to have to reopen the image to be able to resize the illustration. Click the little black dot in the upper right-hand corner of your resizing box, hold it down and drag it in the direction of your arrows to resize your illustration. You can enlarge it to any size that suits you, just be sure that it's going to fit in your hoop size. Click on the image and drag it to reposition it. You'll notice that I've enlarged my image to 4.5 inches wide and 3.77 inches high. You can decrease the image size the same way you enlarged it. Now you can click on the design page. Click on your Home tab and then click on Line and Region. Choose your Closed Straight Line Region tool. This is a tool that we're going to use to digitize our block. Click and drag out your attributes and color windows. Notice your region attributes up at the top. You have a variety of outline stitches, and you also have a variety of fill stitches. Click and shut off your outline stitches. Notice the different region stitches that we could use, but we're going to choose the fill stitch. Be sure that the fill stitch is on, and then go to your color chart window to choose the color of thread that you would like to use. You can choose different brands of thread. I use isocord, so I've chosen an isocord chart. Different brands of thread are going to have different color choices. Scroll through the chart and find the color that you would like to use. I'm going to use a hot pink. Once you find the color you want, click on it, and that'll change the little spool up at the top to that color. Move your color window out of the way. Be sure that the region sew box is highlighted. There's one little thing in PE.Design Next that's important to show you. Left click, left click, left click, left click. Now click all the way up, left click over the top of the line or right on it from the last click. See what we get? Just a straight stitch. That's not what we want. We want a region fill stitch. So left click, left click, left click. Now stop right there. Don't go up over the top. Leave a gap. Now left click twice and watch what happens. And there's our fill stitch. It's very important to remember not to close in that box. Left click, left click, left click, leave a gap. Always leave that gap, otherwise you're going to end up with just a straight stitch. It's a little bit of a gap. Left click twice and there's our region. Now you can go up and undo those things that we just digitized with the arrow, the undo arrow. Alright, now we're going to digitize the first side of our block. Left click, left click, left click, left click, leave a gap. It's very important to leave that gap. It's nothing worse than having almost have everything digitized only to have to start over because all you got was a straight line. Double click. Now pull out your sewing order window. Left click on the color you just digitized to select it. Once it's selected, you can go ahead and change the color if you're not happy with the first one. I'm going to stick with the hot pink. Choose your sewing attributes window now. We're going to change the direction of our stitches. We can change the direction of our stitches by moving the little arrow around the circle. You can watch the direction of the stitches change as you rotate the little arrow around the circle. You want to experiment a little bit with the direction of your stitches. By varying the direction of your stitches, you're going to add dimension and perspective to your work. So be sure not to have all your stitches going in the same direction. Experiment, experiment. You can also change the direction of your stitches by degrees if you like. The up and down arrows will change the direction of your stitches. It's a good thing to play with your software a little bit. Learn the capabilities and what the possibilities are. Alright, I've decided on the stitch direction I want in my block. Now we're going to open up Line and Region again. Click to be sure that the region stitching is on. And now we're going to change our color of thread just like we did in the previous step. Choose your color of thread. I think I'm going to choose a dark purple this time. Notice that the little spool of thread will change to your color choice. Alright, left click, left click, left click, left click, and leave a gap. And double left click. Select what you just digitized in your sewing order window. You can change the sewing direction just as we did with the last color. And play with it until you're satisfied, until you think you have the direction just right. Notice how changing the direction of the stitches is going to give your work a lot more dimension. Okay, go up and click on your Home tab again, and then on the Line and Region Sew. And now we'll digitize the top of the block. Be sure your Region Sew box is highlighted and on. Click on the thread spool, and we'll go and change our thread again. I think I'm going to choose a green for the top of my block, probably a very bright green. This one's perfect. Digitize the top of the block exactly as we did the first two colors. Left click all the way around. And this time I'm going to show you something a little bit different here. Be sure to leave that gap. Now we can branch out and do different things with this. We don't have to do squares or rectangles. We can go all over. Just remember to be sure to leave that gap. You don't want to close the gap. Click, left click, left click, left click. Leave that gap, come back, leave a gap, double click, and look what we can do. Now I'm going to go back and click undo, and that's going to basically erase what I just did. Now I'll start over and do the top of the block properly. Left click all the way around, double left click, and there's the top of my block. You can go ahead and select that. Go to Sewing Attributes and change the stitch direction if you like. And there it is, our block is digitized. I want to show you how to modify or remove the background image. Right click on your block. In the little windows that open, you can either delete it or modify the image. You can turn the background image on or off. There it's off. And if you want to bring it back up, right click on the image, modify image, and turn it back on. And there is your block digitized. You want to save it, you can save it in a document file, a PES file. I have a special folder with just my designs that I save all of my own designs in. You could start a special folder to save your designs. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you've learned something, and stay tuned for video 2 in this series.